Ahead on our news tonight, NEMA's chief comes under attack from the House Speaker for the response to Wednesday's tornadoes, and NEMA hits back. And our news investigation finds a malfunctioning morgue in Long Island on the heels of Sunday's deadly plane crash. And a pilot reliving his harrowing experience in a water landing. Welcome to our news and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. NEMA's director is under fire after a tornado touched down in southern New Providence, hitting area homes and businesses. House Speaker Patricia DeVoe lashing out at the head of the National Emergency Management Agency Director, Captain Stephen Russell, today over the response in the aftermath. Jasmine Brown has the details.
What I did not see on the ground was NEMA. And I am saying this because I reached out to Commander Russell. And Commander Russell, I don't know if he was home busy watching the game because I heard he had a game last night. But I could say that he was not there. And that is who we have to reach out for emergency response. And I am terribly, terribly disturbed by that. And I say to him, I told him, I did not lie to him. I told him that I would speak to it from my chair. This is where I have my voice.
That's how House Speaker Patricia DeVoe described NEMA's response to the aftermath of a tornado that left damage in its wake on Wednesday. DeVoe hit out at NEMA and Captain Russell and what she is calling the agency's lack of response in the Bamboo Town constituency.
I had senior citizens at the age of 80 who had live wires, electrical wire hanging, and also no roof and no electricity last night. They had to go to bed with such damage done to their house. And what I can say is we had the team on the ground, but NEMA was not present.
DeVoe says officials from the Ministry of Works and Ministry of Social Services responded to the scene in Seven Hills, but NEMA officials did not show up. And she didn't stop there, suggesting Russell may be better suited for a day job.
Natural disasters can happen at any time in the death of the night. And so I say this to say, these people, if they want desk job from 9 to 5, give them their desk job. Because I had a natural disaster last night, and the minister and all of these other persons were on the ground until 9 p.m. last night, trying to help me bring some resolve. So you tell Mr. Russell for me, if he is listening, let me say you need a 9 to 5 job. Because I called 7, 8 o'clock in the night, you telling me Ministry of Works. Ministry of Works was already on the ground. They were already on the ground. So the only persons that weren't present was NEMA. So I don't know. They talk about Jesus yesterday fixing it. Fix it, Jesus.
Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister, who also has responsibility for disaster agencies, Miles LaRota, says he spoke to Russell.
I was advised, and I'm just giving the public the record of what happened, by Commander Russell that the tornadic activity was in the Cowpen Road area, and that's where NEMA had focused, that he was not aware that Bamboo Town had any concerns. That was the message he conveyed to me.
Really?
I would have said to him that in speaking to other members, there were at least 3 communities that was affected.
LaRota also insisting that there will be no stone left unturned as it relates to the response, while Acting Prime Minister Chester Cooper says the matter will receive attention at the highest possible level. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, NEMA issuing a response with a detailed account of its response to tornadic activity. It says Captain Russell was notified of a tornado in Cowpen Road around 2:15 p.m. while briefing parliamentarians on NEMA's hurricane plan. It goes on to say he took a series of actions, including contacting weather officials and lead officials from NEMA's emergency support to provide assistance. The response also confirming Russell visited the site to assess the damage. And it was not until around 9 p.m. that Captain Russell was advised that Bamboo Town area residents were impacted and needed assistance. NEMA's asset mobilized relief with tarp to the newly reported affected area. Social assessments were also completed this morning. Now we will have more on the damage caused by that tornado later on in the newscast. A heated row in Parliament as well between the current and former chairman of the Public Parks and Beaches Authority. Bethany McDermott explains.
It was a series of heated exchanges which resulted in other members of Parliament like Opposition Leader Michael Pintard and Social Services Minister Obi Wilchcombe jumping in, name-calling, and St. Barnabas MP Shannon Don Cartwright claiming he wasn't being protected by the House Speaker. Contributing to the 2022-2023 budget debate, Parks and Beaches Authority Chairman Mikel Barnaby addressed challenges at the authority.
What I was trying to do, Madam Speaker, is get a better sense of where the former chairman and his board was taking the authority. I asked the staff of the former chairman's, chairman's correspondence file. They told me they could not find it. They told me they could not find it. Not one correspondence file. I'm only saying what I was told. The reasons why I asked for the file, Madam Speaker, is to get a better understanding as to why certain things occurred. A few days later, after inquiries, a computer that was attached to my office had all the files downloaded and removed.
Barnaby said these files were removed after hours. He added that he instructed his financial officer and temporary assistant to file a police report. However, Cartwright quickly clapping back on a point of order, accusing Barnaby of being very misleading.
The member is standing on his feet and making some serious allegations. After I was making some serious allegations. So let me just say for the record, I have no idea what the member is talking about. And so if there's a process going on, right? If there's a process going on, the member should adhere to that process.
Pintard, coming to his colleague's defense, then rose and asked Barnaby to either verify or withdraw his comments. House Speaker Patricia DeVoe asked Barnaby to repeat his comments and later allowed them to remain on the record. However, the Public Parks and Beaches chairman maintains he's simply stating facts, adding that it's no insult to Cartwright. However, Pintard stood again attempting to speak. That resulted in this exchange.
I addressed myself to Speaker. Have a seat.
It will not be two members on their feet.
Have a seat.
It will not be two members on their feet.
Have a seat. Be respectful. Have a seat.
I have not given you permission to stand, Marco City.
You're the leader of the official opposition.
Mount
Be
Moriah
respectful.
to make his point.
You are the leader of the official opposition. Be respectful.
I raise a point of order.
Honourable member, I'm warning you to please take your seat.
Madam Speaker,
I have not given permission. I am listening to
Be respectful.
I have asked Mount Moriah to clarify
Children
on
are
this
watching.
house.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
The House of Assembly at an impasse late this afternoon after Deputy Speaker Sylvanus Petty ordered the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove opposition leader Michael Pintard from Parliament. The issue arose after the North Abaco MP accused the former administration of having frozen hearts in handling Hurricane Dorian. In a passionate response, Pintard quickly rose on a point of order. Following the exchange, the Deputy Speaker ruled there were to be no more points of order until the North Abaco MP finished his communication. That didn't sit well with opposition members.
North Abaco, you have the floor until you're finished. I don't want to hear from no one else on no point of order, on no intervention. Right now, Marco City, I'm speaking. I am speaking right now. I'm speaking. North Abaco, you have the floor. The Sergeant of Arms. Marco City, I am warning you for the last time. If you get up I will have you removed from the House.
But Petty seemed to be steadfast in his ruling. He suggested Pintard write his queries until the member finished. Pintard would not back down. It eventually led to Petty standing and ordering Pintard be removed. Instead, all opposition members present stood in unity.
You can just write whatever you have to afterwards. I'm finished with that ruling. I said what I had to say and I'm done. I said what I had to say and I'm done. The Sergeant of Arms, can you remove Marco City from the House for me, please? I want Marco City removed from this House. First of all, hold on, one second. Sergeant of Arms, I want Marco City removed.
Well, the parliamentary rules state that for a member to be removed, the Speaker must first name them. The Speaker then has to put the question to the House for a member to be removed or suspended without any procedures. A yes vote then results in removal. Parliament suspended for 5 minutes today. When they returned, all opposition members were seated. Meantime, a man was shot and killed in Baintown on Wednesday night. Police press liaison officer Superintendent Audley Peters says the incident took place shortly after 10 p.m.
Police were called to Curtis Street off of Finlayson Street in the community of Baintown as a result of a shooting incident. On the arrival of our first responding officers, they were directed to the rear of a residence where they were informed that 4 persons were congregated, and as a result of a shooting, 4 of them were shot.
One of the men died on scene. 3 others were taken to hospital, where one of them was reported in critical condition last night.
The victim was assisted by the emergency medical services, and following their assessment, he was pronounced lifeless on scene. The scenes of this event are somewhat sketchy at the moment. We don't have all the details, and so as soon as we do have them, we would pass it on to you, the media, and the general public.
Well, hopefully the weekend will be clear of all of this severe weather. We could use a few days of sunshine. Our Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the details. Greg?
Thanks, Megan, and welcome for our first look at weather, everybody. A warm and humid evening outside our studios. Temperatures in the low 80s, 83 outside our studios. We call it intermittent cloud. Well, actually, it's more partly cloudy. Your winds out of the southeast at 2 miles per hour, very light, and your feels like temperature at 87. On our satellite, quieter weather across the northwest Bahamas. Most of the moisture trapped across the central and southeastern islands. Showers and thunderstorms popping up there, but you notice Florida is actually blowing up right now throughout most of the day. Some of those showers will work its way across the northwest Bahamas, but all in all, it should be a quiet evening over there. Cloudy conditions expected across the central and southeastern islands tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Well, still to come, Long Islanders tell our news their concerns over lack of proper medical facilities in the wake of Sunday's deadly plane crash. And residents in southern New Providence distraught over property damage caused by recent tornadoes. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamika.
While forecasters predict more rain this week, few imagined we would encounter tornadoes. But for some Golden Gate residents, the reality of this wicked weather came with damage to homes and vehicles. The newest member of the Our News team, Marlena Leonard, visited the area today.
By all indications, Wednesday afternoon was clear and sunny, a welcome relief after a rainy holiday weekend. But almost without warning, skies over New Providence produced some dangerous weather later in the day, especially for those in Golden Gates. What appeared to be a small tornado certainly packed a punch for the affected areas.
Water was coming in through the roof. The ceiling is pretty much finished, dripping on all the appliances, everything.
Carlika Robinson of William Drive wasn't home, but saw the tornado forming from where she worked. Now, the single mother finds herself temporarily staying with family. Next door, Tessarina Moss is safe and sound, but finds herself stranded and in need of help after the tornado damaged her car.
What would be useful would be a ride. Without that, we here can't move. This morning, we had to call some type of assistance just to get breakfast.
Right.
It's really tough right now, and so whatever help that could be extended to us, we'll appreciate it.
The acting Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, and the MP for Golden Gates, Pia Glover-Roll, came to view damage and speak with some of those affected.
We will ensure that whether it's NEMA or the DRA or the other agencies of the government, Ministry of Works and Environment and others, we stand ready to provide whatever support we can.
Although they're still assessing the damage from the tornado here at Golden Gates, they haven't let that stop them from beginning to help the people affected. Here at the Gospel Light Baptist Church, just yesterday their roof was badly damaged and they've already gotten a tarp to help prevent any further water damage.
Well, as of last night, we started to assess the damages, determine the needs because it was still raining and we were concerned about persons whose roofs had damage with the fact that it was still raining last night. So we started to work, get tarps to those persons who needed it, and came back this morning to assess the repair damage that's required. We have many contractors that live in the constituency. There's a great sense of community here. And like I said, we've already started to galvanize to see how we can begin the repairs on homes.
Reporting for our news, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks, Marlena, and welcome to the team. Concerns over the handling of medical emergencies on family islands remain following Sunday's plane crash in Deadman's Key, Long Island, killing one woman and injuring 6 other survivors. Residents tell our Cantino Knowles, in addition to emergency care, an inoperable morgue and ambulance are keeping some of them on edge.
You can have something very simple that could end up being life-threatening, and you can't get off the island.
Bianca Major telling our news that Sunday's plane crash in Deadman's Key, a reminder of the constant challenges the island faces in emergency situations, including an inoperable morgue.
It's a disgrace. For the last couple of years, we have no morgue here at the health center, which is just up the hill from here. People die, they have to hold the bodies 40 or 50 miles north to north end, where there is a working refrigeration system for dead bodies.
If this was on a regular basis, I can't say what would have happened to those passengers on that plane because we had a tragic accident a few months ago and it took about 5 hours plus or so to get the injured off of Long Island, and those persons did not make it.
That incident putting the spotlight on the pressing need for better healthcare systems in the family islands before this latest tragedy. It's a need that has long been a concern for Long Island residents and the wider community.
Our healthcare facilities here are in very poor condition. Services are lacking in a big way. But that's the story of Long Island, you know. When I moved here 20 years ago, the then government was saying, oh, we're going to have an international airport by 2002. It has never happened. This whole island is F&M territory for ages now. And the F&M government, they were in power for 20 of the last 30 years, and yet Long Island continues to be neglected. So I hope that this new administration, which is a different government, that they'll do better than the F&M did.
And one emergency vehicle on this island donated by Alive some time ago, residents saying sitting for months as they await a plan for emergency situations that occur on this island.
I think we definitely need to have infrastructure in the out islands to be prepared for an event like this.
So we would appeal to the medical professionals out there to help us out here on Long Island, to bring some more laboratories up here, maybe to assist the government. But we really need that, and it's such a disappointment that in 2022, going into 2023, that we are still living in the dark ages when it comes to medical here on the island.
Reporting for our news, I'm Candino Knowles.
Thanks, Candino. A decision by the teachers' union to reject the government's proposal on a new industrial agreement, the focus of a Rotary presentation today by Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson.
0 for year 1, which is July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. $58.33 per month raise for July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, and $58.33 per month raise for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. This is unacceptable.
According to BUT President Wilson, from 2008, an entry-level teacher's salary was set at $25,000 annually. She says compensation needs to match cost of living increases.
We've proposed 8.3%. In the first year, the government proposed 0. 8.3% would be 3 increments, so that's about $2,100. In the second year, we've proposed 5.5%, which is again equates to 2 increments, which would be about $1,400, and in the third year, 5.5%, which is $1,400.
While 99% of the contract negotiations are done, it's the compensation aspect that remains untouched. While claiming teachers understand the economic climate, Wilson was very critical of government's priorities,
such as an increased travel budget for 2022-2023 by $4.1 million for parliamentarians. The large contingent that went to Dubai, we observed that. And of course, we observed the paving of the roads overnight for the visit of the Duke and Duchess.
Discussions are set to resume later this month. However, Wilson notes that her members are prepared for industrial action.
The government will have to give the teachers an improved salary package, because not only do we deserve it, but we've really been working, and teachers have worked hard over this during the COVID pandemic.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the extended forecast.
Plus, coming up in sports tonight, NFL players, including our very own Mike Strawn, making their way to New Providence to host a football camp. Details on that and so much more coming up in sports.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back. NFL players paying a visit to the Ministry of Sports. Meanwhile, the NBA Finals continuing with Boston taking Game 3. Here's our Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks, Megan, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. A number of NFL players in town this weekend, including the guy behind us, Mike Strawn of the Indianapolis Colts, and, of course, others, including Michael Vick. They will be part of a football camp called the All-Pro Sports Weekend that will give young Bahamians an opportunity to be exposed to the game. Let's take a look. The Bahamas All-Pro Celebrity Weekend set for this coming Friday and Saturday over at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Now, the event kicks off featuring a number of NFL and former NFL players, all being participants. The event is open to kids of various age groups and should be well participated and also be sponsored by Rev, as we mentioned. Now, that being said, members of the upcoming camp paying a courtesy call on the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg, yesterday. Things going pretty well.
It's times like these when we are able to give exposure to our youth and our young athletic Bahamians who are interested in the game of American football. We know that we have some diamonds in the rough out there, and when Kanan and those who will be joining him tomorrow will come on this weekend and teach the fundamentals of the game of American football that will allow one of our up-and-coming, young, talented student athletes to be the next Michael Strawn to represent us in the NFL.
Last night, NBA Finals continuing, Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors meeting up once again, Game 3 of that series, and this time, as they played on the Boston home court, TD Gardens Arena,
it was all Boston Celtics as they turn it on in the fourth quarter, able to walk away with a victory here as they now take a 2-1 series lead. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics getting it done. As you mentioned, Boston holding off the Golden State Warriors to take that lead. Game 4 of the series now set for tomorrow night.
And that is your look at sports here on this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Megan.
Thanks, Marcellus. Well, weather is up next with our Greg Thompson, and a pilot tells our news of a harrowing tale of water landing and surviving. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". This is salute.
Welcome back to our news. And now it's time for the final look at the forecast. Greg is waiting in the Weather Center. Greg.
Thanks again, Megan, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Once again, quiet weather across the northwest Bahamas, a little more dry air mass across that area. Most of the moisture trapped across the central and southeastern islands. Upper level low still spinning across western Cuba, pumping in some of that moisture across the portions of the Bahamas. So we're seeing a soggy and wet day across the central and southeastern islands, and we expect this low pressure, upper level low, to drift out towards the south and out of the area. High pressure will build in across us from the Atlantic as well as the Gulf. There's a weak front that's going to drop near the northern Florida area, so we could see an increase in some isolated shower activity across the northwest Bahamas on the weekend, but it should remain rather quiet. Satellite showing most of that activity still staying across the central Bahamas. As I mentioned, some showers across the Florida area, but all in all, we should remain quiet until the weekend, and then we expect some Saharan dust to be moving into our area by then. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas and central islands tonight to tomorrow. Winds will be out of the south to southwest, 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Your seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 10:36 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, we're asking you boaters down there to use some caution. Slightly stronger winds. East to southeast at 15 knots. They will be gusting at times, and your seas will be running 3 to 5 feet, and they will be higher in gusts. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, some more showers in the forecast Friday and Saturday, but by next week, Saharan dust should be moving in, drying out our weather, and of course, warm temperatures expected. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
And finally tonight, in the wake of that devastating plane crash on Long Island last week, a pilot who survived a crash landing in the waters years ago, sharing his ordeal with our Berthany McDermott.
Bahamas Evac Services CEO Anthony Gibson is reliving one of a few forced landings in his years as a pilot. Gibson says when flying situations can change in the blink of an eye. In 2015, Gibson was among 5 individuals, including an 8-month-old baby who went down in waters heading to Crooked Island.
I remember just before we went in the water, we did the emergency prep. You did everything that we were trained to do as far as prepping the airplane and your passengers for an incident that they've never experienced, that you've never experienced most of the time.
Gibson was flying a single-engine Cessna. On board were his brother, cousin, and the 8-month-old was his nephew. He said his training coupled with life experiences all contributed to what happened on the night of the water landing.
I did what I was supposed to do. God did what he did, and it all worked out.
Once the plane was already landed, Gibson said the priority was the baby.
We got in the water. The first thing was the most critical life on the airplane at that point, because I knew everyone could swim, was the baby. So that was the priority. It was, once we get in, we get out and secure the baby. And that was the priority. So once that was done, then we assessed where we were, what we needed to do, what was available to us, and how we could use that to the best of our ability.
However, Gibson explains his experience was out of the ordinary. Instead of panic, he said he experienced a calmness.
It was peace in a moment where it should have been panic. It should have been anxiety. It should have been a whole lot of different things. But for me, in that critical moment, it was peace.
Gibson said once out of the plane, he and his family boarded a raft that they tied to the tail of the plane. He said they waited more than 7 hours before they were rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard. While he agrees that the country should have its own rescue operation, he says it's not a cheap venture.
I do know, however, it is astronomically expensive to attain that kind of equipment, to maintain that kind of equipment, and the training and everything that comes with it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And we thank you so much for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepherd. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Until then, have a wonderful evening.